Yeah, well, I guess it's like a resto mod. It's like maybe a 2025 S13 kind of thing. I'm Joel Lahmayer. This is my 92 Nissan 240SX. And there's a lot of technical stuff going on with this car, centered around a Link standalone ECU and how I'm able to interact with the data and tuning on the ECU itself. Yeah, so we've made our way to the back of the car, and there's kind of a lot going on in the trunk. But it's basically, how do you put a computer in a car that's a permanent fixture of the car and do it in a way that isn't obtrusive to putting stuff in the trunk or becomes an issue by, you know, sliding around sideways, because this is a drift car. So I fabricated a panel to mount a mini ITX based Windows PC that is spec'd to run on a 12-volt power supply that is designed to work in a car. So that does limit you a little bit on the how powerful of a computer you can build, because I'm capped at about 200 watts. So it does not have an external graphics card, but the Ryzen series processors are really good at providing decent integrated graphics. So I have 32 gigs of RAM. It's a Ryzen 7 5700G, and that actually at 1080p will game pretty decent. Obviously, I didn't put it in the car just to game with it though. Really, the main reason was anytime I would go out on track with my other car, if I had an issue and I needed to get a log, I would have to come back in, get a laptop, hook it up, put it in the passenger seat, let it slide around. Maybe it'll get the log, maybe it'll come disconnected. It just was always frustrating to deal with that. And I'm like, on the next car, I'm gonna find a way to do this where like I just always have access to it. So that kind of led to this, where I have the computer. It works flawlessly on a 12-volt system too. So the hardware's been 100% reliable. I'm going on probably 2 years now of having this set up in the back of the car, and I've yet to have a hardware-related issue. Once in a while, I have to deal with Windows, but that's Windows. Yeah, so from here, then we can move forward to what I would consider my main interaction with the computer is obviously going to be through this screen. So I wanted to keep a head unit that's functional as a head unit, because this is a car I want to drive on the street. So I had to source a head unit that had an HDMI input that would recognize the signal from a PC. And it's a full-size HDMI. It's a 10-inch floating display Stinger head unit. And so that way I still have like CarPlay when I want to do that. But if I'm at the track and I'm trying to do something in the tune or watching the data, which is what I use, that's pretty much where it lives, is on this data screen most of the time. I'm on the HDMI input, and it gives me anything I want. I can create a gauge page for like track day stuff. I could have a street driving gauge page. I can move the data value points around on the screen and build any gauge display that I want out of it. I'm just limited to that screen size. And then so beyond that, when I'm in the car, since I have a full computer, I can also live stream using the computer. The computer has an antenna for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and I can use a mobile hotspot to tether internet to the computer, and then therefore also I'll feed the cameras that I have in the car to it just via USB. And once I get everything set up in OBS, I can also set it up so that PC Link will also display to the live stream. So I can pull that up as a little corner display to show the car's data points, and I can make a gauge page for that too. In fact, I have one. I titled it Streaming Gauge Page. And so I pull that into the stream. We have helmet intercoms. So if I'm out with a couple of teammates, we can talk to each other, and that's also Bluetooth to the computer, so we can talk to each other on stream. I can see chat because I'll have an iPad on the dash, And really, it also turned into a, well, what if I try this? And everything kind of just fell into place, and it actually works really good. And it's really cool to be able to show like the car's data in real time with the video feed. Okay, so this is the keyboard that I normally use, and that'll just fit right in the glove box when I'm not needing it, but this is how I interact with the car. So here's one thing that I like to do. I'm in the pits right now, so I'm down to 1 gallon left of my safe fuel level. I'm using Link's virtual fuel tank to monitor how much fuel I've gone through. It basically, it watches duty cycle on the injectors at the fuel pressure, and it calculates how much fuel you've used. So if I go to virtual fuel tank here, I'm going to tell it that I'm filling it up. And this is just kind of a showcase of how I would use this normally at the track. So there we go. And now I'm going to turn it back off and close this out. And that's a way for me to trust that I know that I have the amount of fuel that I think I have. This is a Nissan NX 1600 cluster. And it's a full digital, so like if I cycle the key, it'll probably, yeah, so it does the sweep there. Because that's a Link thing where the Link standalone sweeps the tachometer normally, and it sweeps the digital dash tach too. And so I also have speed from the speed sensor fed to the ECU and the cluster, because this cluster does not read an accurate speed. It's about 10 miles an hour too fast, but I can adjust the speed that is displayed here on my screen to be GPS accurate. So I've also used this as a speedometer. I use it as my fuel gauge. Every temperature, I can see how much my fan duty cycle is. It's just the possibilities are endless for what I can see. I can every time I want to know after I filled up with fuel what my E85 content, it's right here. It's 71. I know. I know my fuel pressure. I know my oil temperature. Yeah, I can go on and on about it, but yeah. So from this position, that's where the whole idea comes to fruition, where I have all of this data at my fingertips. And if I want it to go away, I open the glove box, and there's a little button here. You probably can't see it from that side, but I hit that button and it shuts Windows down, and then I don't have to worry about it. Or if I turn the key off, it overrides that and it will always turn Windows off. So we're up at the engine bay, and this being an SR20, there are a number of things that I want to monitor with an SR20. It's the engine that I prefer to have in the car because I'm kind of a chassis correct guy. But I wanted to make sure that I could have a reliable setup that is protected from kind of some of the inherent flaws with the SR20. So the Link standalone is really good at letting you dial in really specific limiter settings. Rocker arms are a problem with really aggressive rev limits on these engines. So we have it dialed in on a fuel cut that's still like quick and aggressive sounding. So I like how it sounds, but I've also yet to break a rocker arm, and I've hit limiter. I'm not shy of hitting the limiter. And there's a lot of stuff that I'm monitoring too that I just wanted to set up as many safety points as I could have. So I have individual EGT probes on every exhaust runner. It's an RTEC manifold, so we had to add the ports for each of those probes. And then I have exhaust back pressure monitored. So then we also have a really high-end alternator, just because with all the electrical going on in this car, I wanted to make sure that power goes everywhere in the car at all times at a very overkill amount. Like I have 0 gauge going to the back. I'm sending power and ground to the back. I didn't want to run a bunch of grounds through the chassis because I believe that finding the cleanest path to ground for everything that you're grounding, including sensors, is really helpful in the long run with the charging system and just with having good, clean sensor data, sensor values. Since I have this intercooler right against the radiator, if my intake temps are above a certain threshold, we'll also kick the fans on to try to help with intake temp. So that's the beauty of being able to run everything fan-wise through the ECU and have full control, able to run them at however high of PWM I want at any time. It's a S13 plug and play G4X. I did add both expansions. Yeah, I'm running both expansions because I have that much stuff going on. Exhaust back pressure, oil temperature, E85 flex fuel. It's a full flex fuel tune. I'm using the Link when I run water spray for the intercooler to help with the intake temps. I use the Link to control the intercooler sprayer. It's nice to be able to let the ECU dictate when it needs to spray so that I can either conserve or consume as much water as I want based on what the car needs. I mean, I guess my favorite thing is that it still has the SR20 and that I can fully modernize it in a way where I can run it like it's a modern engine and trust it like it's a modern engine.